Okay.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Invitation to a Conversation. I'm Pamela Bailey. My guest today is a dual citizen, and she is an entrepreneur with Rodan+Fields skincare, and her name is Zena Martin. Zena Martin has been a marketing, communications, and diversity and inclusion professional for over 30 years, working in the United States, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, acquiring expertise across various industries and consulting at the highest levels of organizations. She also has a lot of fun being a skincare guru. With her successful Rodan+Fields business, Zena is a dual American British citizen and repatriated to the United States 4 years ago after living in Paris for 1 year and London for 18 years. Zena is an honors graduate of Amherst College, where she also served as senior class president. She has been a frequent keynote speaker, media pundit, moderator, and trainer. And when not working, Zena spends her time as a sustainer of Junior League of Atlanta and previously as the Junior League of London president. As a board member for the Coastal Symphony of Georgia, a member of the Girlfriends of Atlanta, and developing kid-friendly storytime content for her YouTube channel, Miss Zena Reads. And now I introduce to you Miss Zena Martin. Good morning, Miss Martin. How you doing?
Good morning, Miss Bailey. I am well, thank you. I am well. I'm very happy to be here, very honored to have been invited to converse with you.
Well, thank you. And also thank you for accepting my invitation to a conversation.
Of course.
I love a good conversation.
I know you do, girl. I know you do.
It enlightens me, it educates me, and it's informative. And I love sharing what I know with other people. But I would like to the audience to excuse me. I've been having sinus issues, but I dare not stop doing what God has blessed me to do. So here we are today.
Absolutely.
So, Miss Zena, first of all, how is the weather where you're at?
Well, so I'm a little north of you now. We were neighbors for quite some time. I'm now in Atlanta. It's quite cold today, and actually, I'm just looking. It looks like the sun is trying to peek out, but it's been very cold. It was sleeting yesterday. The weather's been weird, and I too have been under the weather, but I pulled it together because the show must go on. So hopefully neither of us will just kind of croak in the middle.
Yes. And so, first of all, let me first ask you, where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Connecticut. I was born in Hartford Hospital and grew up in the neighboring town of West Hartford. So I'm a Yankee. So I'm a New Englander, and some of my family still lives in Connecticut. So I still have a real affinity to there. I went to high school there and attended college, as you said in my bio. Amherst College is in Massachusetts. So I spent my early years in New England.
So how did you get to London for 18 years and then have a dual citizenship if you were born in America?
Right. So I had visited London before, but really felt just this incredible connection to it when I had visited. And I always thought, I want to live there. And my junior year of college, I could have had that opportunity to study there, but I was a resident counselor in the freshman dorms at that year when I could have studied abroad. So I had to make that choice. And I decided that being a resident counselor was a really good thing to do for a variety of reasons. So, but it always weighed on my mind. So I decided, maybe slightly delusionally, that I would leave my very good job in New York and move to London with no job and no work permit. And I only knew a few people. And but I got introduced to some people. And quite frankly, this was just when the internet and email were kind of coming online. I had to go to an internet cafe and set up a Hotmail account. And not all of the people I was chatting with who had potential jobs had email. So it was really interesting. But I met with contacts. I was hired by a firm in London. They sponsored my work permit. I honestly thought I was only going for 1 year, even if I had to, bartend or whatever. I really just wanted the experience. But 1 year turned into 2, turned into the year in Paris, working for a London company I was working for, but running their Paris office. And then I moved back to London and then acquired dual citizenship. And it's crazy. My brother just sent me an article about an hour ago saying that people are now paying £2 million if they can afford it to acquire British citizenship, which you shouldn't be able to buy a citizenship, but that's a different conversation. And £2 million, I think, is probably close to about $2.5 million now, maybe even 2.75. I did not pay that. I did it through the application. Yes, I had to pay a lawyer to help, the process, but it was about £1,000. And so my brother said, my goodness, what you have is really valuable. And I was like, yeah, I'm never letting it go, ever. I even renew my my British driver's license, even though I'm not there and driving anymore. So
most people, when they think that you are dual citizenship, they think you came from London to America without knowing that you were born and raised here first, but got dual citizenship to London. Okay.
Yeah. So I am. I was a member of the European Union, but now the United Kingdom is no longer part of the European Union. So I am a British citizen and an American citizen, and I have 2 passports.
Okay. What are some of the similarities and differences between American and Britain cultures?
Let's see. Okay, so similarities, because of course, British people actually left the United Kingdom, or left England at the time, to come to America, and depending on how you want to look at the history, either just take it over, or whatever. But they did that, and that's how the Revolutionary War started, and all of that. So there are definitely similarities in terms of, especially when you're in New England, that's why it was named that way. So some of the architecture is very similar to things like that. But obviously the United States is much younger. So the architecture in the United Kingdom and in Europe just dates back hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years, and so, but in terms of the culture, there's now a new appreciation for very good food in the United Kingdom, whereas there used to be a joke that British food was really quite yucky, but now there are chefs from all over the world who've trained, or British chefs who trained elsewhere and have come back, and so the restaurants are really good now. There is an appreciation for actually enjoying food. There's a real appreciation, there's a real appreciation for theater and music and that kind of culture, for sure. So I think that's very similar now because of the internet and YouTube and TikTok and all of that. A lot of the celebrities, kind of cross over in the 2 countries. I would say that another similarity, which is not necessarily a good one, is that I think both countries, women have not advanced far enough, for sure, especially in business. Having said that, in the United Kingdom, there have been 2 British prime ministers who have been women, and we still have not had a female president. I think that let's see, some of the other things that probably are different. The language. Okay, so I like to joke that I'm fluent in British English and American English. So, things like with the car, the trunk is called a boot, an elevator is called the lift. The hood of a car is called a bonnet. Let's see, eggplant is called aubergine. I could go on and on. So they're literally, I had to learn, in a way, a new language, and I had to learn how to spell in British English for much of my business because it's slightly different. There are a lot of U's in things like color is spelled COLOUR. And curb, like the curb on the side of the road is spelled KERB, so those types of things. So that was interesting. Okay. And of course I had to learn how to drive on the other side of the road with the steering wheel on the other side of the car. Yeah.
So did you live in London longer than you did the United States?
So that's aging me, but I don't mind saying that since I'm in skincare as well. And so I feel like my skin looks pretty good, but no, I would say, let me see now. As an adult, I lived longer in London than in Europe than I did. Now it's probably starting to get to be even because I've been back for 4 years. But I obviously spent all of my years and through college and for the first few years of my jobs in the United States. But then I was in London for a very long time. So as an adult, a little bit longer in London and Paris than in the States.
So you said New England,
yes.
So the tale from London, England.
Yeah, from England.
Sure. To the United States and built that state, New England. After that, you want to say, was there a protege for that place? For New England?
Yeah, I mean, I think so because English people, left England, they seceded. They wanted to start a new life, a new country. They didn't, right. King Richard, if you've ever seen Hamilton or know sort of the story, like that was a lot of it. And so they left. And but they brought, as many people do when they go to another country, they brought many of their culture. And of course, they first settled they landed on Plymouth Rock, which is right. in New England. And right. so they brought a lot of that culture, a lot of the food, those types of things. Okay. And as I said, some of the architecture, it's a bit similar.
Okay. And so how did you get to Brunswick, Georgia?
So I ended up moving to Glynn County because when I decided after almost 20 years of living abroad to move back to the States to be closer to family, I had lived in really big cities for a long time. After college, I lived in, let me see, how did this work? Chicago, New York, San Francisco, Atlanta, maybe back to New York. That may not be the exact chronology, but those were the cities. And then of course, London and Paris. And so I thought, well, maybe I'm going to do something really different. If I'm moving back to the States, to just go back to where I lived, might not be as fun. So I'm going to move to the beach. And my family spends a lot of time in Glynn County on St. Simon's Island and in Brunswick. And so I thought this is great because I'll get to see them but I'll have a kind of a different life. And I did that for 4 years. And then very recently I moved to Atlanta. Never say never, because I thought I would never move back here, but now I'm here. So there you go.
And those nevers always come to fruition. Believe me.
That's right. They do. Yeah.
And so what is your profession in marketing communications? Is marketing communications a title, a profession? Marketing communications is a profession, and diversity and inclusion. So what is your profession?
Okay, so my profession, my corporate life, I always worked in marketing communications. I worked in advertising, I worked in marketing, I worked in public relations, and those are all sort of encompassed under the umbrella of marketing communications. And so I still am an advisor or a consultant to some companies doing that. And I really enjoy that. And within the marketing communications, I had a specialty, although I can do quite honestly, just because I've done it for so long, kind of any area, but I really wanted to focus on diversity and inclusion to promote good communications to and for people of color, and for anybody basically who's not, quite frankly, a white Christian straight man. They can do their own communications. I mean, I'm happy to help them, and I've done that many times through clients and things like that. But I wanted to focus on that because I think, you need to give voice to the voiceless, right?
Mhm.
And so I do still some consulting, but my primary profession now is with Rodan+Fields, my skincare business, and I really enjoy that.
What is marketing communications? Explain that.
Okay, so marketing communications. I mean, it really, so as I said, it is this umbrella that could mean advertising. It could mean public relations. It could be branding. And now, of course, because of social media and all of that, it could be digital marketing. And marketing itself basically is anything, it's promoting a service or a product. Now people can just kind of do their own thing because they've got TikTok, they've got Reels, they've got, Instagram. So so agencies and companies are trying to invent new ways to still be relevant, because some people are like, well, what do I need you for? I've got an Instagram account, right? But before all of those existed, because they really haven't been around for a very long time, they needed help. They needed people to help them do it. But really senior level executives and big global companies, which those are the types of clients I have had, in the last sort of 20 years, I suppose. They still need really high level strategic help in terms of, how do we engage this particular audience? What's the best way to help reach them? What's the best messaging? They still need, press releases. Best believe that many of the companies that you may follow on either Instagram or Twitter, or even our, Rodan+Fields, there's a corporate HQ. They have a whole marketing communications department that will help with the messaging and to make sure that what is being promoted.
I know what communications is.
Yeah.
I got a degree in communications.
Oh, great.
It's a hard thing. But why did they, and I understand what marketing is too, and advertisement, but what threw me off is, why did they have to put communications behind marketing when marketing is communicating to a big audience, small audience, or medium-sized audience? But the diversity and inclusiveness is important because it depends on the demographic of people, the type of demographic people that you are communicating with. So that's why I only asked you. They just threw that. You know how over the next generation always changed the title of something.
Sure. Yes, so, I think it sort of evolved because the fact that now, so there were times, like when I first started out in the industries, there would just be marketing, there would just be communications, and then
public relations.
Yes, and agencies started offering all of it together, because well, I don't want you to go somewhere else. We want, so we'll offer one-stop shopping, right? So that they could have that client be needing them for everything. And so I think that's really how it became combined. And also, again, because of the way the internet has evolved, digital communications, excuse me, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
That is all evolved. You need to make sure that all of your messaging works together. And so that's why, and now they have things like, if you've ever heard of experiential marketing, which is where you're having an experience, you're being marketed to, but you're experiencing it rather than watching an ad or reading, a press release or an article in the newspaper or a magazine about you.
So tell me about Rodan+Fields skincare, and we're running down on time, so just briefly tell me about your company you work for?
Okay, so Rodan+Fields is a global skincare business that was started by doctors Katie Rodan and Kathy Fields, and they are practicing dermatologists. They created the brand Proactive, if you've ever heard of that, the acne medicine, and then they sold that. And it's a premium skincare business, and you can own your own business through corporate headquarters, and it's wonderful. It's all e-commerce, so we don't, I don't have any product here except for what I use, and people just order it through my website, and you can, it's like multi-level marketing, so you can have team members or business partners, and that's really wonderful as well. And it's really growing. We're the #1 premium skincare brand in the United States and Canada, fastest growing one in Australia, and we just launched in Japan, and we'll be launching in other other countries soon.
And what is their one #1 brand that sells all the time? What is their most product that sells all the time?
Well, we have 4 big regimens, but I would say the anti-aging regimen Redefine is the biggest regimen. And then probably our Lash Boost, which is a lash serum that helps your lashes. Okay, legally, we need to say longer looking, fuller looking, darker looking lashes. But, so I'll just say the legal thing since I'm actually on the internet. But, my lashes are very flirty and long because of the serum. So.
Okay. And how long have you been working for Rodan+Fields?
I've had my Rodan+Fields business since October of 2016, and I love it, love it, love it, love it.
Good. One more question going back to your dual citizenship. What are some of the rights of women compared by Britain and America? You touched a little bit about saying about what women can and can't do. We have not gotten to that ceiling yet where we're still breaking glass ceilings. So what are some of the comparisons of do's and don'ts of women?
Right. Well, I would say it's sadly very similar. There aren't a lot of women who are CEOs of companies. They're usually called managing directors there, but, and things, there are some, and just like here, pushing for more equity for women on boards of companies. So sadly, there are probably more similarities in terms of the rights than, differences. We have a lot of work to do in both countries.
Okay, and what is the Junior League of Atlanta and your part as Junior League past president of London? What is Junior League?
So Junior League is a charity of women that was started in 1901, and there are now 290 chapters in the United States, Canada, Mexico, and the United Kingdom. And we are very much focused on improving communities wherever we have leagues or chapters. And so I first joined in London and became its president after a few years of being a member. And now you can transfer to a league when you move to a town or city where there is a league. And so I am now a sustainer member of the Junior League of Atlanta.
And what is their mission? What is the Junior League's mission?
The mission is basically, as I said, improving communities. So every league is a bit different depending on what the needs really are in your community. So you may have in your town, the school breakfast could be a problem, where kids are not getting enough to eat before they get to school or whatever. So maybe that's what your focus is. It could be education. It could be families. It could be human trafficking. We try and localize. Even though we are international and we have some, overarching mission. The mission is to help improve communities. Women, I think the tagline is women building better communities. But it is really to try and address the inequities in the local community through hands-on work. So we do an awful lot of volunteering, but also we raise money, we donate money to other charities who need our help.
So this is a nonprofit. And what were some of the things y'all did in 2021 in communities across the states?
Oh gosh, so it was a little more complicated because of COVID to do as much as we normally did, but we definitely definitely did things. So, we do most leagues do some work to help the homeless. So it can be everything from clothing drives and putting together packs to help the homeless. When it was COVID safe, we would actually help feed the homeless, whether if it's children, as I said, like with the breakfast program, since that's really difficult to be in the schools with the kids because of COVID, put together breakfast packs so that they could just grab the breakfast. And so you don't have to touch that, be with the kids, that kind of thing. And there, as I said, like human trafficking or women's shelters, like battered women and things. So anything that we could do to help improve their lives, whether it was, as I said, through volunteering or through funding to help them, and also advising them.
So is there a junior chapter in Brunswick, Georgia?
There is one. It's called Junior League of the Golden Isles, and I was actually an associate member, affiliate member. I forget the exact title, but and so it started a couple of years ago, and there are members who live in Brunswick, who live on St. Simon's Island, who might even live on Jekyll, because it is called the Golden Isles. And there's one in Savannah as well. And so I was a member of Savannah, and I think it's an affiliate league member for Golden Isles.
So every year, do the junior league do the same goal across the states, or your goals are different, like you said, depending on the needs of the community? And so what is their goal for Golden Isles this year?
So it's overall, the goals stay the same in terms of the focus area, because you make more of an impact if you stay, if you're just moving all over the place, then you're not going to make the same impact that you could make if you stick with it. But every few years, most leagues do assess whether or not that focus area, that particular community partner, et cetera, makes sense. So I know that Junior League of the Golden Isles is very focused on literacy for the kids. Like recently we did a book drive, and they gave a book to all of the elementary schools, because I helped put stickers in the books, and then we delivered them to the elementary schools so that every single student, I want to say it was pre-K, K, and maybe first grade, don't hold me to that because now I can't remember, but got their own book, and it was a Pete the Cat book. And they also have these character breakfasts, I believe, at the library. So like I said, literacy is big. Homelessness, we do an awful lot of work with Second Harvest. We go and we help fill bags with Second Harvest. And things like that. So, those are the two big focus areas that I am aware of. But so you can have a focus area, but a few community partners within the focus areas.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What is Girlfriends of Atlanta?
Okay, so the Girlfriends Inc., the Girlfriends Incorporated, was actually founded in 1927 in New York City during the Harlem Renaissance. And it is, there are 48 Girlfriends chapters across the United States. It is probably one of the oldest social African-American organizations, because it was founded in 1927. So all of the members are African-American women, and the main purpose is to promote friendship, provide social activities, perform civic services in local communities, and also support national projects like the NAACP, United Negro College Fund, things like that.
And this is just why I have this show, because I haven't heard neither one of these organizations until I met you and saw what you do. So if it was in 27.
27.
So does Brunswick have a Girlfriends chapter?
It does not. I don't know where all the chapters are. Since there are 48, I'd probably say most of them are in big cities like Atlanta and New York and things like that. As you know, there is a linked chapter of Brunswick, and of course the sororities. So it is, the Girlfriends is more focused on social, but as I said, there's definitely a civic aspect to it, whereas probably the Lynx and the Divine Nine sororities are probably a bit more civic and then social, you know, very much like the Junior League is civic and then
Right.
social.
Okay. And if you could implement one thing from Britain and bring it to America, and one thing from America and take it to Britain, what would it be?
I would say, so from Britain to America, National Health Service. I think everyone should have healthcare. Everyone should have the right to have health. You know, everyone should have healthcare. It is a right. And so I was very fortunate because I had access to private healthcare but the National Health Service definitely augmented it. And for people who don't have access to private healthcare through their jobs, they didn't have to worry about getting sick. They could go to the doctor. They were assigned a doctor. You go to the hospital. You don't have to worry about how to pay for it, you know. And while it has its challenges, because as you can imagine, funding something like that can be difficult, but you know, just thinking about with COVID, people were so grateful in the UK for the National Health Service. So that's what I would absolutely bring over here. I believe in it. I think we should have something similar. Over to move it the other way around, I would say scheduled elections. The UK is kind of weird how it does elections, even for prime minister. Someone will just kind of call a vote and you have, usually it's like 12 weeks. Now I know some people say our elections, you know, cycles take too long, but it's to me too chaotic. Scheduled, you know when the elections are going to be happening. You can prepare, you can campaign, you can, you know, do all those things. So that's something.
So they don't have a structured voting system.
No, there is a structured voting system. It's just not as structured as the United States in terms of, we always know, like right now, we know midterms 2022, presidential, and some others 2024. Right now, so you may or may not know, but the current Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, is under a lot of fire. Right. Okay. He's under a lot of fire. They're trying to get rid of him. This could happen. You know, I don't want to make a prediction, but it could happen, which means then what's called a snap election will happen. And it'll be about 12 weeks, which is difficult for me because I can still vote in the UK, but to get my ballot and get it back in time it's really close when there is a snap election.
Well, they sound like they have a structured, spontaneous election.
Exactly. Organized chaos is what I like to call it.
We know ours is every 4 years for the president and every 2 years for the commissioners, county, city, go back and forth. Okay. The New York apartment fire, that big fire that happened in New York, where those 19 people and those children got killed. And you have some connection to the nationality of the people that were killed in that fire. Explain the culture and that nationality of people, please.
Okay, so I had the honor of visiting the Gambia several years ago, and it's actually called the Gambia and not Gambia, which some people think. And most of the children who died in that fire were from the Gambia. And I had such a powerful connection when I visited there. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. It's an island. Sadly, you know, it was from one of the places where slaves were brought to this country and to other countries. And when I posted about it, which you saw, I have this really beautiful batik, which is like wax and color dye that made with these elephants that I purchased from a village woman who was, there were all these women selling their wares while we were waiting for the ferry to go over to the island where slaves were held and then taken away, which also was a very powerful experience. And so I have a friend who owns this really cool social enterprise where she and her family hire local tailors and artists and designers to create African clothing. And the company is called Continent Clothing, I believe. It may be Continental Clothing, but I think it's Continent Clothing. And the clothes are so cool, so beautiful. And they're sold in the UK, but they also ship all over the world.
Can you tell other people who don't know where the Gambia is located in Africa?
Oh gosh, now I'm just trying to think of exactly where it is. I should have done this now because it's been a while. I want to say it's West Africa. I'm going to look really quickly while you ask me other questions since we're on the day. I don't want to get it wrong.
And the place where you said they took slaves, isn't that place called the place of no return, where they took the slaves and they didn't come back? I know I seen a show where someone walked us to there. Who was it? The man. I think it was Steve Harvey or somebody.
Oh, okay. Did he? Oh, that's very cool. One sec. So I'm just, of course, I turned my internet off so that I wouldn't be disturbed because I thought someone will call me while I'm on this. Let me just turn my airplane off. But yes, and so it's a small, it is a small country. And excuse me. And so it is in West Africa, as I thought, but I didn't want to get that wrong. It's been a while. So it's a small West African country bounded by Senegal. And it is, and so it's beautiful, and it's, good things are happening there, which is great. Okay. And I love that my friend is got this enterprise hiring all of these locals and giving all these jobs, and they've got businesses because of she and her family.
Okay. Excuse me. Thank you for that. And Miss Martin, who inspires you?
Oh my. So my mother, for sure. She's just an amazing, amazing woman. Yes, I'm biased, but she has just incredible values, is very determined. Degree and then her PhD in education. She's always worked in education. She's a godly woman. She is just incredibly strong, great mother, great grandmother, or Nana, as my nieces call her. So she really inspires me to always be my best. And Michelle Obama, because she's Michelle. Everyone knows her story. I don't even really need to say why. And then I would say, actually, there's another woman who really inspires me, and that is a woman by the name of Sarah Blakely. And she is founder of Spanx. And the reason why she inspires me, not so much about, the underwear or anything, but she started this company with, I think she had like $1,000, maybe it was $5,000 of money that she managed to save, didn't know anything about the business, but knew that she knew there was a need. And at the time that she got into the lingerie industry, it was dominated by men. Fast forward, and she made her mistakes along the way, but she was determined. Fast forward, and she just sold a very large stake in the company for millions of dollars, and gave every single employee, no matter what their level was, $10,000 and 2 first-class tickets to anywhere they wanted to go in the world. So she's a really good person, and she's funny. And she was our keynote speaker for our last Rodan+Fields convention via Zoom, because we couldn't meet together because of COVID. But I really admire her story. I think she's very cool.
And this Rodan+Fields gives you the opportunity to travel to different places that you've never been before. That's exciting.
It is very exciting, yes. And you can earn some of those trips, exactly. So I love that. Because sure, we can pay for our own holiday, but isn't it great when someone else says, you've earned that?
Yes, it is. So what is your favorite scripture, phrase, or testimony that keeps you grounded?
For me, and I got this from my mother, but it's for me as well. Jeremiah 33rd chapter, 3rd verse. And that's, call to me and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things that you did not know. Because isn't that beautiful? And that's the New International Version. The older version is a little bit, but it really is when you're stuck, or you need creativity, you need to center yourself, you need to pray, you need to find that answer when you just aren't quite sure which way you're going, or you need some other thing. Just that for me. And I even have it, I painted it on a rock that I keep in my house. It just says Jeremiah 33, 3. And so that's both my mom's and my favorite scripture.
Jeremiah 33, verse 3.
Yes, that's it. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Sounds good. Can you repeat what that says? That sounded real good.
Sure. I'm going to read it so I make sure I get it right. Call to me and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know.
That's what God is here for.
Isn't he?
What he's here for.
That's exactly right.
That is what he's here for. Thank you, Ms. Martin, for taking your time out this morning. Did you have a blessed New Year?
I did. Thank you, Ms. Bailey, so much again for inviting me. I did have a blessed New Year, and I feel very grateful that even though I have been under the weather this week, quite frankly, with COVID, I'm coming out on the other side, I think, and I'm grateful for vaccinations. I'm just going to put that out there, because otherwise I think I would have been in the hospital, if not.
Yes, thank you. Send me some samples from Rodan+Fields.
I will do that. I will send you a private message to get your address, and and I will sort that out.
Thank you. Well, thank you for taking your time out and stopping by and having a conversation with me. Good to see you. Happy
You too, Ms. Bailey. Thank you so much. You take care.
Thank you. And there you have it, you all, Ms. Zena. Oh, I forgot to ask you. Wait a minute. We still have some time. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Tell us about Zena Reads. Please tell us about Zena Reads.
Okay.
Yes.
So Miss Zena Reads is something that I started. So I have been for 20 years. I have been a volunteer reader in elementary schools, and they tend to be in the schools where predominantly the students are students of color. And I feel like they need to see more of us reading to them, so that they are encouraged and so that their caregivers are encouraged. And so through the Reading Rockets program in the Brunswick area in Glynn County, I started reading at Burroughs Millette, and then at Goodyear. And I read at a couple of other schools every once in a while when I filled in for someone, and I loved it. And then when the pandemic hit, obviously the schools closed, even the libraries were closed for a while. But I knew that my teachers' friends and my friends who were homeschooling still needed that reading and the content. And quite honestly, I loved it. And so I thought, okay, I don't know anything about starting a YouTube channel, but I'm going to try and figure it out. And the kids always called me Miss Zena. So I started a Miss Zena Reads YouTube channel. It's a story time, very family friendly. So you could just put your child in front of a tablet or a computer, or if you can access YouTube on your TV or your phone, whatever, they will get story times. I really try hard to ensure that the stories are quite diverse, as many as I can. And so look out for some new stories that I'll be reading from Stacey Abrams and from one of the founders of Run DMC even. So, so I'm having a lot of fun with that. I absolutely love it. There's always a story and a relative song to go with it. I was also doing live story times at the libraries in Brunswick and on St. Simons Island. And I am now trademarked. I'm a registered trademark, Miss Zena Reads.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Ms. Martin. That was the last question, but good seeing you again, and you take care.
Thank you so much. You too. Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye.